Yeah. Yeah, I know. Ben was telling me all about, actually, wait, are we live? Hey, good thing hey, good morning. Welcome to the Stokastic.com NFL strategy show, our final single lineup sim strategy show. Should we do it for the Super Bowl? I guess why not, right? Figure we should.
Yeah. We'll do it for the Super Bowl. There's going to be a limited amount of lineup builds we could do, so maybe it'll be a 30-minute show. You know, there's only so much we could go, but we'll see when we get there. We're definitely going to do something, just not exactly sure if it'll be. We might have to get creative with the format a little bit.
We will. Sorry, I was chewing gum. I finally quit the other nicotine habits, Greg. It's been, yeah, thank you. It's been 2 weeks today. 2 weeks. That's the longest I've ever gone. Longest we've ever gone. And essentially cut down drinking.
There we
cut
go.
it out. I feel good, man. Feel good. So
was that the New Year's resolution, or just
I don't do New Year's resolutions. I have nothing wrong with them, but it's more like trying to create new habits in a sense. You know what I mean? Like if your New Year's resolution is to exercise, just stop, just start doing it. Stop being like, oh, I got to do this for just start doing it. Right. With me with this, it's like, stop being a pussy and just do it. You know, you're getting older, you got kids, that type of thing. So, I feel the best way, I tell Jordan this all the time, to make myself do anything is get the internal monologue going and just berate myself to the point where if I don't do it, I'll fall into a deep depression. No, but I'll think about it all day if I don't do it. So just tell yourself terrible things about yourself, and it works. It works.
Well, I had the same New Year's resolution for about 8 years. Every
What
year
was
the
it?
same one. It was to stop burning the roof of my mouth on bagel bites, because it's nearly impossible to do. You take them out of the oven, they taste really good. You want to put them in your mouth, they burn. But then what ended up happening, and I would usually make it until like around now, like January, third week in January. And then I became just super lactose intolerant and couldn't have dairy anymore. And then I couldn't eat bagel bites, and it kind of took care of itself. For a long time, that was my recurring New Year's resolution. That's
So you
nearly
succeed?
impossible. Not directly. This year was to give up TikTok, which was really easy I've never used TikTok before, but it was to give up TikTok, and then it went away. I was like, well, this is going to make it really easy. And then it came back, but I've still never used TikTok before, but I'm not going to use it this year.
So you have some serious New Year's resolutions then.
Oh yeah. We're hard at work.
Good stuff. I'll keep you guys updated. Let you know how I'm doing a couple weeks from now.
Likewise.
Yeah, but let's get into it, man. We got some fun stuff to talk about. Happy to have you guys with us as always. If you don't mind, take a single second, atone for your sins this morning. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It's free, guys. It's free. And it goes a long way. It goes a long, long way. Really does. Leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. Big Rob, I've never even downloaded TikTok. Don't get it. Neither have I, but I mean, I get the appeal. I saw someone talking the other day, like, why don't people just use Instagram Reels or Facebook? And they were saying that like Instagram and Facebook now has been so much more geared towards like marketing and advertising stuff. Whereas TikTok, you can actually get these bite-sized videos of stuff that people enjoy. I mean, it's without question. And this isn't me being judgmental at all. So don't take it, but don't be like angry man, raising his fist at clouds. I'm not being that guy. But I mean, it has effectively dumbed us down to a point where I don't think that's even arguable anymore. And I'm guilty of that myself.
It's not for us.
But it's dumbed civilization down. I don't think there's any argument there that like, and people are going to be like, Lawful, leave the kids alone. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is objectively, like if you spend 3 hours a day watching dance videos, you probably could be doing better things. But I watch a lot of YouTube shorts on how to like cook and stuff, like cook like steak and all this stuff and a bunch of other stuff. So I guess you could make that argument that I've gained a lot of knowledge and insight from those things and some how-to, Greg. So maybe it goes both ways. I don't care one way or another. Bring it back, get rid of it. Doesn't make a difference to me. I don't have it either. All
Yeah,
right.
there was something I was reading about how this isn't specific to TikTok, it's social media in general, but the more you spend on social media, the more it lessens your ability to read. Not in terms of you forget how to read, but you don't have like the stamina to read. Your eyes will get tired. You'll have trouble retaining the information, and it's just because the scrolling on social media, whether it's Twitter or TikTok or just watching YouTube shorts, it's detrimental in terms of your ability to retain information when it's not delivered in that format. But like you said, maybe there are other benefits as well. It does alter how you intake information.
It does, but you know what? Everyone here is fine because they'll watch 1 hour live streams of us breaking down a 2-game slate. We're keeping society alive, man. We're keeping those brain cells firing around here. Yeah, it is true though. Like if you can hang out with us for an hour, appreciate you by the way, then we can do good stuff. Long form content is still alive and well. I don't care what anyone says. Like I love long form content. I truly do. Got to get back into reading. I pulled a few books off the shelf that I want to reread today. That should be my New Year's resolution, Greg. Just start reading more. Plus, it just makes you feel smarter.
Yeah. I don't read a ton of like paperback or hardback books, but I do what I read is just like articles. I have a New York Times subscription, or I'll read stuff like research papers. That's something I like reading, especially for like random sports research, like the impact of rest on longevity of players and stuff like that. So like that's the kind of reading that I'll do.
It's all the same to me. Yeah, if you're doing something like that and you have the attention span, let's get into it. Happy to have you guys with us as always. And remember, you ever want to listen in podcast form, we got you. Apple Podcast, Spotify, whatever it may be. If you don't want to listen on YouTube, you can check it out there. All right, so we got a 2-game slate. Philadelphia Eagles at home hosting the Washington Commanders, and then Bills and Chiefs. You can't ask for anything more than that. I said from the jump it's going to be Bills Chiefs. You just knew it. You knew it. And poor Mark Andrews, because it might not have been Bills Chiefs. It really might not have been, but it is. Bills anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 point dogs. I mean, really, it's settled in around 2 in most spots. And then outside of FanDuel, which just has the 5.5s minus 122 on the Eagles, that's pretty much settled into 6, Greg, just to give you an idea of where we're at. From a total standpoint, 47.5 across the board for this Philly game. And in the KC Buffalo game, also 47.5 across the board. The only outlier there, Pinnacle at 48. I'm gonna give something away here. You guys are gonna be shocked by this. Okay. The first player into lineups for you, if you want to get quality simmed ROI lineups for this week, is going to be Saquon Barkley. I ran the Sims. Okay. I got of 150 lineups that I favored. Now I didn't do any uniques, just totally unadulterated, untouched factory setting Sims. I got 100% Saquon Barkley. Now, do I want to keep it that way? Hard to say, but there definitely is an argument to be made that when you look at the remaining running backs, James Cook, Brian Robinson, and you have to play 2 of them, Kareem Hunt, Austin Eckler, Isaiah Pacheco, Ty Johnson, Kenneth Gainwell, Ray Davis, Samaje Perine, that it's not really a question of if Barkley is the best play on the slate, Greg. It's how much better of a play is Barkley than everybody else? And that's not a rhetorical question. I'm actually asking you that question.
It's not even close. And I mean, this is the biggest gap by a mile that we've seen in projections from the top running back to the rest of the ones this year. We've got James Cook at 12.68 fantasy points. We've got Saquon Barkley at 26.85 fantasy points. And also, Barkley isn't even priced correctly. He should be way more expensive than $8,600. That would actually make this really interesting. Imagine if Barkley was like 11,000 or something like that, or 10,500. And then it's, what's the opportunity cost of paying up for him? He's $1,700 more expensive than James Cook and projected for 14 more fantasy points. It's just not even remotely close. They're not even in the same stratosphere
at all. So how do you want to do this? Build out, it's a 2-game slate. We can take this however we want. I think this is going to be, this show is going to help us out a lot going forward. and tell us a lot about what needs to be done. But we can do it a multitude of ways. I think we just started off, do a couple different quarterbacks. If we wanted to do all 4 quarterbacks, we really could. I don't think we have really any restrictions.
Yeah, we could. I think that we could definitely do 4 lineups, one of each quarterback. We could bounce back and forth between DraftKings and FanDuel. One thing too that I wanted to ask you before we start building some of these lineups to get your perspective, being close to home in this in Philly. How healthy do you think Jalen Hurts is? Because this is obviously a massive, massive storyline for this game, and I tend to think the Eagles would be favored by more than 7 points if we knew that Hurts was totally healthy going into this game.
I wouldn't think so.
Wasn't the line because there was lines last week for this week's games, but they were hypothetical matchups. So, like for instance, the Ravens would have been favored over the Chiefs if they played this weekend. We saw that line last week. It was Ravens minus 1.5. The Eagles were 8.5 last week, and now it's 6.5. It's a really big move, and sure, part of it is that Washington looked really good last week. There definitely wasn't an expectation they were going to win. But I think another part of it, too, is the health of Jalen Hurts.
It could, for sure. Definitely. However, I don't know. The Lions at home were 8.5 points. Do you think the Eagles should be as big a favorite as the Lions were last week?
Yeah.
Especially after seeing what Washington did and what Washington has been able to do.
Especially because of how banged up the Lions defense was going into that. Actually, I would say this. I think the Eagles should be bigger favorites this week than the Lions were last week. We're just comparing the quality of the teams now compared to like what they were over the course of the season and whatnot. Because over the course of the season, the Lions were better, but this wasn't the same team in the playoffs. They were down to like it was like their 3rd string guys playing in the secondary.
Yeah, okay. It could be having an effect. Now, it did move from 5.5 to 6, so there is that. But yeah, I don't see it moving through 7. You know, I don't see that being the case at all. But we can dive into it. Maybe you're right. I don't know. They're saying he has like a mild MCL strain. That's what I had the other month, and I don't have. I don't exactly have quality, medical around the clock medical treatment to help me out there. I'm also 37 and he's like 26 or something like that. So I don't think he'll be 100% at all. But even in that game, he was still able to roll out. They still tried to do the brotherly shove, right? The QB sneak before Lane Johnson took that false start, backed him up. They couldn't do it anymore. No, I don't think he'll be 100%, but I don't think it's going to be like, I don't think it's going to be catastrophic. I'll say this though. I bet this is a weird team, the way that like Kellen Moore and Sirianni try and do things. I think if you asked most people, they're going to say that they're just going to come out and they're going to run Saquon Barkley as much as they can early and often. It wouldn't shock me at all if they went with like 7 straight pass plays to open the game.
Could be.
I'm telling you, that's what this team does. They love to try and, I'm not saying it's going to work, but they love to try and do these things where one team expects something very specific and they do the complete opposite.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't even know definitively what the health of Jalen Hurts is. It's just something that is on my mind as something that I don't think he's 100%. We've got reports that have indicated as such. And I'm interested to see how that ends up playing out this weekend, because there is something that could happen in hindsight where the Eagles are just not really able to throw the football and Hurts doesn't look healthy. And then we look back and it's going to seem obvious if that happens in hindsight. But the same thing, too, if he looks fine, it's going to be like, oh, of course he was fine.
Right. Exactly. Look, they probably get something in him and he ends up being okay. I don't know. I remember Jimmy Butler a couple playoffs ago when he was walking in up the ramp and he was like limping to the point where you're thinking, there's no way this guy plays. Like he probably shouldn't even be on his feet right now. And then he went out, and I know you're a big Jimmy Butler guy. And then he went out and had an amazing game. I think it was in the conference finals. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. And then you just realize, I don't know what Toradol or whatever, like whatever they're giving these guys, whatever it may be, it gets them through a game. So I think while he won't be at 100%, my guess is they do enough to get Jalen Hurts through this game.
Yeah. I'm not suggesting he comes out or anything, just that his performance could be impacted. As for Jimmy Butler, who's just faking the injury, that's totally besides the point, though.
You hate that guy.
Oh, my God. I
I
mean,
think
it's
he'll be all
not.
right.
I mean, Paul Pierce once had to be wheelchaired off a court because he shit his pants. So it wasn't like that levels of ridiculousness, but
I'm more concerned about Quinyon Mitchell. They say he's going to play, but that to me is a big one. If Quinyon Mitchell plays, he shut down Terry McLaurin in 2 games. So that they faced him this year, but he's expected to play. We'll see.
how much of the game did he play last week before getting hurt and leaving the game?
It was in the first half. It was the Commanders' first drive. First drive of the game for the Commanders.
Yeah, I'd remembered getting the notification that he was injured. I just didn't remember when it happened.
So let's do it. And when I say that these shows can be valuable, I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this. We had a Millie winner, right? We had a Millie winner on Sunday, and it was the full slate, the Saturday and Sunday slate. I think was it Case Snead, Jordan? I assume you have the tweet there somewhere. I have his Twitter, but he took down a Millie, and it was amazing too because it was a single bullet. And I was DMing with him, and he mentioned that he said, I wasn't planning on playing at all, but then I watched your sim show that I watch every week and decided to play. My biggest influence this week was your show and the weather forecast. So love to see that. Like the Friday sim show, the Wednesday single lineup sim show are helping people, kind of formulate ideas and builds going into the slate. And, Case Snead took down a Millie to essentially close out the year. That makes me very happy.
Yeah, and there's been so many of them this year. I was going over with Eric last night, and I don't even remember the exact amount, but we've had 5, 6, 7 Millie winners or something like that
5,
this year. Yeah, so it's been a handful of them, and that's why we got this deal going on right now. If you guys want to sign up for any single sport package, it's 20% off with the promo code BING, because you could be the next Millie winner too.
And there will be more. There will be more like this week, 20% off any package. Links in the description and in the pinned comment if you guys ever want to check that out. It's down there. Use promo BINK, BINK at checkout. Any sport, any week, any month, 20% off all of the tools for that sport, whatever package you decide to grab. Certainly a nice way to go about this because you got PGA right now, you got NBA. You still got NFL. Even if you wanted to bang out a week or something for NFL, massive contests coming up, and you're going to have huge showdowns for it on top of that. So 20% off any package you want, week, month, any sport, you name it. Shout out to Case Snead for making this one happen. 20% off any single sport package. All right, let's do it. Here's what I'm going to do, Greg. I am going to throw Saquon Barkley in first.
Okay. I think that is a kind of a cheap way to start here, taking the easy way out, but I'll accept it because Saquon Barkley also going to be in just about all my lineups.
I don't think it's cheap because I'm just doing the inevitable, right? I'm just saying each lineup probably starts with Barkley in it.
Yeah, that's very reasonable. I mean, also I ran stuff through the Sims after you had said you ran and got 100% of Barkley. I got 98% of Barkley, so about as close to 100% as you get without being in all of them. Every lineup we build on this show, it's going to have Saquon Barkley. If it doesn't, it's going to tank the sim ROI. I don't even think it's possible for us to build a lineup that has a positive sim ROI without Barkley. We could try it because I think it could be something interesting to do. I don't think it's going to be possible, though.
I think we should try it, and it would be it would be highly impressive if you and I were able to pull that off. We're pretty good with
I don't think it's doable.
All right. Well, I don't disagree, but let's get into it. Let's do Patrick Mahomes. I want to do a Chiefs stack here.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to do Chiefs. So we could do Mahomes, Kelsey, Worthy, Mahomes, Kelsey, Hollywood Brown. Any one of those works to me, but I think naturally you're just going to want Travis Kelsey in a lot of these lineups as well. His prices come up after last week. 5K was absurd.
Yeah.
But I still think that even at 6K, he's a really solid option. This is, I want to say playoff Kelsey, right? Don't get it twisted, fellas. Go back and look at the box score from last game. The only wide receiver with a reception was Xavier Worthy. Realize how ridiculous that is? He was the only wide receiver for the Chiefs that had a single reception. Justin Watson, Juju Smith-Schuster, DeAndre Hopkins, Marquise Brown, those guys didn't have a catch, Greg.
Yeah, and there's definitely a level of comfort with Mahomes and Kelsey. They've been playing together forever. That's certainly part of it. There's another angle to this too, though, where the regular season, I don't want to say it means nothing to the Chiefs, but I think it's very ho-hum for them at this point. And I do think that there's a different version of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey that show up to the playoffs, just in terms of how much of themselves they're willing to leave on the field for a playoff game compared to, hey, it's week 15 of the regular season. We're playing the Cleveland Browns. That's not a game that Travis Kelsey is going to be willing to take the same chances that he will in a playoff game. They know what their goals are, and it's not to win these random middle of the season, regular season games. So I do definitely think at this point in the Chiefs dynasty that we kind of, not that they're entirely different, but there are little differences, particularly in terms of things like usage that we should expect from core players on the team.
Definitely. Yeah. And I thought you might see more of that with Hopkins. We didn't. He played 16 snaps. He ran 13 routes. That's crazy. Now, granted, that game was different than this one is likely going to be, a lot different. But yeah, Sam Lewis in chat said Hunt has been the workhorse all year. Going to let Pacheco shine, and Hunt gets a complimentary tee. I'll be honest, man. I'm not convinced Pacheco's healthy. Like I'm not convinced that Pacheco is himself right now. If he were, if Pacheco was healthy, you'd be seeing a lot more work out of this guy. I'm pretty confident that he is not close to 100%. Just throwing it out there.
He was also not good this year. He averaged 3.7 yards per carry. And this is an offense that is just designed for individual skill position players to have success when they get opportunities. So to your point, I don't think he's healthy either. But arguably, if he is healthy, it's even worse. If he's healthy and these are the results he's putting out, that's an issue in itself too. So he's either healthy and he's just played really poorly this year, or he's not healthy, which is impacting his performance. It is another reason for them to go a little bit more towards Kareem Hunt. But I know that we kind of had this idea of what Pacheco was going to be coming into the season, and he just hasn't been all that effective. So it's hard to make a case for why the Chiefs would lean on him in this situation. He's either been unhealthy or he's just flat out not playing well this season.
Yeah. Sam Lewis, everyone is expecting what you're saying. Yeah. Look, dude, I'm not really saying much at all. Could it be a Pacheco game? Sure. But what Greg is saying is pretty prudent as well. He hasn't been particularly effective. So we'll see. We'll see how they do it. Maybe they change things up. El Negro Loco, what's up, news god? Pacheco has been hurt majority of season, correct? Yeah, he missed like weeks 3 through 13 or something like that.
Yeah, he played in 7 games this year. Well, 8 games if we include last week.
Yeah.
5 carries for 18 yards last week. 1 target, didn't catch it.
Yeah. I don't know. And then he had the rib injury in that Pittsburgh game. So he comes back and then he gets hurt again. We'll see. We'll see. Played 16 snaps last game. Kareem Hunt played 24. P. Ryan was out there for 11 of them. Carson Steele even a little bit on top of that. But yeah, let's go Kelsey. And do you want to go Worthy or Brown? I think you can go.
I view them as being very, very similar. I lean a little bit more towards Hollywood Brown just because Xavier Worthy is projected for a good amount more ownership. He's also pulling a higher fantasy point projection. But we've seen for years now, outside of Travis Kelsey, you really do see Patrick Mahomes spread the ball out to some of the other pass catchers. And I mean, I was going to say there's some recency bias for Xavier Worthy being ahead of Hopkins. It's not like Worthy had a terrific game last week either. But towards the tail end of the season, Hollywood Brown was really, really involved in the offense. I kind of like the salary savings and the ownership discount he affords compared to Worthy.
Lee Price, if Hollywood catches that deep ball, he's very high owned this slate. Yeah, man, that was so close. So close. Yeah. I played a reverse correlation parlay on him too. It was 30+ yard reception, a touchdown, and under 3.5 receptions. And it was like plus 6,000, Greg. So I was really hoping I was a little bit further in the end zone. I got the under 3.5 receptions right. He had 0, but
Yeah.
let's go Hollywood Brown and Travis Kelce here. May seem like a meaningless question, but for defense, do you care about anything this week? Like Eagles, Chiefs, Bills, Commanders? I'm really not sure how much it matters.
The winning lineups last week, it was a Lions commander stack with the Commanders defense. Like
Yep.
it's just so random picking
It's
defenses.
so random.
People message me, they get annoyed at me for bringing that up on shows, and they want me to offer more insightful analysis on defenses or more strategy. It's just random sometimes. Like, how do you have a scenario last week where you could realistically say, hey, the winning lineup's going to have 3 Lions players in the defense they're playing against? It's just random a lot of the times.
Can I tell you what I did do? I'll give you a little more strategy. This is just a personal thing. I'm not saying it's right or wrong or that you need to do it. I did put caps. I put exposure caps on my defense, just like a global defense exposure cap last week, because there were times where I was getting like 80% of a defense, and on a 4-game slate, I just didn't want that because there's so much randomness that goes into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any strong takes. I think it's completely reasonable. Honestly, if you played 25% of each defense, you played, 20 lineups, you got 5 of each of them. I think that's completely reasonable.
Me too. All right, so we have Mahomes, Barkley, Hollywood Brown, and Kelce. Let's just throw in let's just throw in like Bills defense there.
Yep. I don't have any issue with that.
All right, so Bills defense, that gives us 5,600 remaining. We can kind of do what we want if you think about it.
Yeah, there's no the most expensive wide receiver on the slate is AJ Brown at $6,800. We've already got the most expensive running back at 8,600. We don't have any players even available to us who are 7K.
No, I think naturally Khalil Shakir should be in this lineup too.
Yeah, Shakir is $5,700, so he certainly makes sense.
Now the question is, with 3 spots left, is there anything we want to do to get a little bit more unique? Right. Like, I don't even think it's crazy if we wanted to plug Xavier Worthy in with this lineup, right? Like, I think that could be one direction we take, play for a shootout, go Mahomes +3. Actually, I think that's might be the move in a spot like this if we're not going with any running backs.
Yeah, I see Einstein brought up Diami Brown in chat. I think Diami Brown also is a strong option. We know that he is big play upside. He's been more involved in the Commanders offense as the season's gone on. So yeah, he's somebody who I really do like as a cheap option on this slate. Lofty's question was about a contrarian option, and he's certainly not going to be a contrarian. Let's see, who's somebody that isn't. Devonta Smith is pulling 25% ownership, so that's one way to get different. You've got Keon Coleman if you want to go cheap. He is somebody who has some upside. He's only 11% owned. Let's go to Devonta Smith at $5,800 though, because while he's not crazy contrarian or anything like that, he's somebody who clearly has an upside and is only 25% owned.
Sure. Okay. Now, okay. I want to run this just to see if it sims out negatively, because it's going to be, I would imagine this is not going to be an unpopular lineup. Jordan, throw Xavier Worthy in the flex, and then Austin Eckler at running back. I mean, Greg, look, on paper, this lineup looks fantastic, but this is just going to be a super popular build, in my opinion. So it's Mahomes, Barkley, Eckler, Hollywood Brown, Shakir, Worthy, Kelce, Devonta Smith, and Bills. It looks great on paper. It sims fine. This would sim so much better if it wasn't chalky. Like, there's no doubt to me that this is a type of build that a lot of people, and it's maxing it out at 50K. Eckler is the last piece, or if you wanted to put Eckler in, you'd say Devonta Smith is the last piece, right? Like, that's going to be a popular build. So
Yeah.
that's my question. What do we do here? How do we make that a little bit different?
You could take some shots on some really low owned guys. If you want to go to, take a shot on like Juju Smith-Schuster at $3,200. He's 3% owned. We could swap out Khalil Shakur, who's 50% owned, and we could go to Keon Coleman at 11% instead. You kind of have you got a couple of different ways to play the slate. You could either be really contrarian and build a lineup that has a very live chance of taking a 0 in it. But if you're going to play the guys that we know have pretty big workloads, the lineup's almost certainly going to be duped.
So then how do we feel about leaving, I don't want to say a significant, but a decent amount of money on the table? Like, for example, if you took out, say, Devonta Smith, right? Say Devonta Smith was at the flex and you had Worthy at the wide receiver position, and you put Dallas Goedert in over Devonta Smith. You got the same team. You're going to leave like, what is it, 1,200 or 1,300 on the table, and you're just making that small change. I don't think it changes it much, but I'm just trying to think like, what are ways that we can do it that would look different but actually look good?
Yeah, we could definitely leave salary on the table. Let's leave some salary on the table and see how that makes the lineup come out by sim ROI. It's something we really haven't done at all this year because, for main slates, like, why would you ever be building a lineup that leaves, $1,000+ in salary on the table? I'm interested to see how it looks for a 2-game slate, though.
Oh, I know why we screwed this up. I didn't even think about this. Good call, Sam. Yeah, I wonder how much different if it would look if we just changed the defense from Bills, since we have a full Kansas City stack. Like if we plugged even Commanders D or any of them in there.
Yeah. Let's see. We could just go Eagles defense.
If I went Eagles D.
With the lineup we just built out that had, because we left salary on the table the last lineup and it had, what was it, 44% sim ROI?
Right. So how much difference does Eagles defense over Bills make? Maybe it might not make that much on a 2-game slate. Like it might truly not matter.
Yeah, it might also be a scenario where it comes out worse, even though there's different correlate, even though it's better from a correlation standpoint, just because of the fact that the other one was probably pretty unique. That's actually something we didn't really talk about in the last lineup, but yeah, this a 19.5% sim ROI. But yeah, maybe that's a consideration with defenses. If your sole goal is to just be different, is to play the defense against your quarterback and the stack you're making, it doesn't make the most intuitive sense, but it's a 4-game slate. Weird things could happen. You get a punt return for a touchdown. There's your optimal defense.
What do you think the highest sim ROI we could get on a slate like this is? Because we're not going to be getting any 300s.
I think we could. So we right now have Patrick Mahomes projected for 41% ownership. I do think changing the quarterback and stacking a different team could give us a better chance at a higher sim ROI.
Let's try it. What do you want to do?
Yeah, so instead of Mahomes, we could look at, well, I was about to name the other 3 quarterbacks. That would be kind of obvious. Let's go with Jaden Daniels at 7K.
Sure. Just first glance at this, because I haven't built lineups yet, and I would assume you haven't either, is that it's actually really easy to build lineups. The tough part is going to be building lineups that aren't the same lineup everyone else is building. Which fortunately is where the Sims comes into play. Like that'll do a lot of the heavy lifting for you.
It's going to be, unless you're doing something completely outrageous, it's going to be very, very difficult to build lineups that are unique. Another thing you consider too is maybe you don't have to have a lineup that's a 1 of 1, but maybe one that just limits the amount of times that lineup is duped, because that's probably more attainable than building an outright unique lineup.
Yeah, I think you're on to something there, but let's try it. Let's go Daniels, Barkley, right? Just plug Barkley in there. How do you want to approach a stack here, especially when you've got a guy that runs 15 times a game at quarterback?
Yeah. So if we're going to figure out who we most want to stack with, with Jaden Daniels. I definitely think Austin Eckler makes sense as a stacking partner. Terry McLaurin makes sense as a stacking partner. For sure as well. Diami Brown makes sense as a stacking partner. Zach Ertz makes sense. Like there are a lot of guys who I like as combos with Jaden Daniels. But I think Austin Eckler and Terry McLaurin are the ones that I'm most apt to have in lineups with him.
Sure. Yeah, Ertz is fine. Diami Brown is fine. I don't have. You're not going to hear me complaining about any of them, but we could go. Yeah, sure. We could go Eckler and McLaurin. Sure. Let's try it. And Eckler should get a decent amount of work in the passing game. So I'm not very worried about that. Eckler, Terry McLaurin. We're going to be able to do what we want, even though Jaden Daniels is expensive. I'll plug Bill's defense in, Jordan. All right, 4,900 remaining. So I think Hollywood Brown is a natural fit here. I mean, really, if you wanted to, you could go Diami Brown as well. Like we could go with a 3-man. Let's plug Brown in and see what a Jaden +3 lineup looks like. Because you have Barkley on the other side as well. That gives us 5,000 per player. We could go 2 tight ends. That's not crazy at all. Even if you wanted to go like Kelsey Kincaid,
Yeah, Kelsey Kincaid. You could go Kelsey Goddard. Either that would make sense. Just out of curiosity, Jordan, who projects the best of all the players left now? Yeah. Put Goddard in.
What do you mean who projects the best? You mean who projects the best at tight end then?
No, just at flex.
Well, we have 2 left, unless Jordan plugged someone in that I'm not aware of.
No, we gave him the full lineup.
Did we put Hollywood Brown in? Oh, I was just mentioning him. I didn't actually. We can put him in. That's fine.
Lineup came out looking pretty good. 58.2% sim ROI.
That's not bad. It's not bad at all. If you took out Hollywood Brown and put Kincaid in,
well, then we'd have 3 tight ends.
No, yeah, I'm sorry. Take Hollywood Brown out and was it Goddard out and put Kincaid in over him. What does that give us? 55. Let's see. Does that get you Xavier Worthy? So it'd be Worthy and Kincaid versus Hollywood Brown and Goddard. You think that moves the needle?
Probably not. We'll see though. We'll see. It's a lot more popular. I guess it depends how many times this lineup's expected to be duped. Yeah, almost the exact same.
So how do we get to these? How do we get to the best looking simmed lineups? That's the question I have.
We could try some really cute. I mean, we haven't really tried to go too contrarian. We haven't played anybody who's sub 10% owned yet. There's no way to do it at running back because running back Barkley's super popular. Then there's James Cook, then Eckler, Hunt, Pacheco, Brian Robinson, basically all the same ownership. So there's no real contrarian option at running back. At tight end, you could go to Dawson Knox or Noah Gray. I'm not super thrilled about those options. Wide receiver, wide receivers where you could go with like Juju Smith-Schuster, try out Olamide Zaccheaus. You could try out DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins kind of expensive. I feel like he's not going to sim out all that well. But maybe if we take a chance on one of these other punt options who are low owned, we'd have a unique lineup that ends up coming in better.
We can give it a try. I'm wondering what it would look like with Barkley and James Cook. Like I just ran one with Barkley and Cook. I took out I took out Xavier Worthy, plugged in Olamide Zaccheaus, and then had Dalton Kincaid in there in the flex. Still 43%. We've been living in that range.
I think we just might be capped in terms of what what lineups could look like in terms of profitability for this or expected profitability.
Yeah. Like we're not even building bad lineups here. It does feel like we're capped a little bit though. When I ran the Sims, what was my tight end exposure? Kelsey, Kincaid, Goddard, Ertz. Yeah, I mean, not even really doing anything out of the ordinary at all. I'm not really sure what we can do.
Do you have a guy sub 10% owned who you like at all? Or I mean, like is probably strong, but find viable for this slate?
Let me pull up ownership projections. All right, let's see. Sub 10%.
Yeah.
There's a couple. I think you could make the argument for DeAndre Hopkins. Like, nobody really did anything last game. Dawson Knox is 2,600. I don't think that's a crazy play, especially given that Kincaid hasn't exactly been productive, and they're really running essentially the same amount of routes. So that's not insane. Noah Gray's another guy. The Amari Cooper is a tough one for me to want to get to. I feel like Zacchaeus might, only because De'Ami Brown is going to be so popular. It feels like Olamide Zacchaeus would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, Zacchaeus or Jamison Crowder, two super cheap guys from Washington that are pulling single-digit ownership. Once again, the purpose here is just to build a lineup that's different, that we don't think is completely not viable, and see how it ends up simming out.
All right. Einsteinium said 3 running back lineups with Josh Allen, play Bills wide receivers, got to take chances on Bills guys. Yeah.
I mean, these guys are popular too. Shakir is the most popular wide receiver on the entire slate. Kincaid's the second most popular tight end. The ownership is there too.
I have no problem with Khalil Shakir, but I mentioned this on the First Look show with Ben yesterday. Outside of him, you don't even have legitimate full-time players in this offense. Even Dalton Kincaid at this point. Go look at their snap counts. Look at their routes run, right? You're talking about guys like Hollins and Coleman and Curtis Samuel and Amari Cooper. These guys are playing, 30, a third of the game, half of the game. It's even Khalil Shakir, you're getting like an average 2/3 of the game that he's out there. There's so many mouths to feed. Josh Allen has mobility. He can do it on his own. You get to the goal line. He had 2 rushing touchdowns last game, despite a largely unproductive performance on the stat sheet. If you're really trying to figure out which one of these guys to get to, it's more of a, hey, good luck. Like you might get there. One of these guys might see the bulk of opportunities, but it's also possible that they just continue to see this carousel, this rotation of bodies coming in and out, even at tight end now, where like it's the truest definition of throwing darts, man, even on a 2-game slate.
Yeah. And we haven't tried it, not just this slate yet, but the entire year. We've never really tried throwing darts at 2-3% owned guys. So might as well try it, see how it goes.
Kind of a fun way to look at this. I'm going to ask you, let's say this were a main slate. You and I are doing a main slate and it's, let's say just like 10 games, right? If you had to isolate these games, like take these games, but they're included in a 10-gamer, what players at their respective price points would you look at and go, I still want to play these guys on a 10-gamer?
Barkley, Kelsey,
maybe some Worthy.
The quarterback, probably all of the quarterbacks, to be honest. But the skill position players, yeah, AJ Brown would definitely be one of them at $6,800. Barkley, Kelsey,
Worthy.
I don't know. I didn't play very much Xavier Worthy on main slates this year.
No, but if you look at the last month, his emergence was pretty significant. Like he went from being a part-time player to being their number 1 receiver. So I think it's a little bit different now than it was. Because, yeah, there's no way we were touching him in week 6 on a 12-game slate.
There's not
What,
many of them. There's
what
not
I'm
many
getting
of
at,
them.
though, is with the Bills, and it's not a 10-game slate, right? So, I mean, this isn't really actionable, but with the Bills, how many of their skill players would you look at and go, man, that's a great play this week against the Chiefs in Kansas City? I think none of them.
Yeah, me. Yeah, I agree with you. It's none of them. If this was a full slate,
Right. And it's not. So you're going to get to some of them. What I mean, though, is I'm not surprised that many of them are some of the lowest owned players on the slate. I understand the Khalil Shakir spot here. I like him, but he's not a sure thing, man.
yeah, we had. Did Shakir have? Let me see this. He had a couple. I was going to ask. I don't even know if he had a single 100-yard game this year. He did. He had 2. They were also his only games where he had more than 72 yards. He also only scored 4 touchdowns. So it's not like he was a really super high upside wide receiver this year, especially because so many of the touchdowns in the Bills offense come on the ground. But I mean, you could say that for pretty much every single wide receiver on the slate. The only wide receiver I'm very confident. Well, Terry McLaurin as well. I didn't mention him. 2 wide receivers I'd be very confident on a full slate I'd play at their current price tags. McLaurin and AJ Brown.
Yeah, I don't think I'd go anywhere near McLaurin on a main slate. If Quinyon Mitchell's healthy, I don't think I'd want to do it. And you know what? Maybe you guys, hear that and go, oh, you're placing way too much emphasis and giving this guy way too much credit. Maybe, but I don't think so. I don't think so.
There's so much touchdown equity in McLaurin. He scored 13 touchdowns in the regular season this year. He scored in both of the Commanders' playoff games. He gets so many red zone looks that
he really does. Yeah.
He's still somebody I would be playing on a main slate.
A lot of touchdown equity. Also, highly touchdown dependent, this guy. He is, man. I'm telling you. Like, this guy is highly touchdown dependent.
He had 500-yard games in the regular season.
Oh, I'm not saying he's not good. Like, I'm saying McLaurin's still very good. But when was his last 100-yard game? Week 12?
Yeah, he had one against Dallas where he went for 102 yards, had 113 yards against Pittsburgh, 125 against Chicago, 112 against Cleveland, and 100 against Cincinnati.
Yeah. Look, all I'm saying is like the 7 for 73, 2 touchdowns, 8 for 773, which isn't terrible. It's still, 15, but 2 touchdowns. 62, 89, 87, 1 touchdown, 1 touchdown, 1 touchdown. Got to get that boy in the end zone. That's all I'm saying. But besides the fact he's still someone that you have to get to this week. Let's try. Okay. So we're sitting in this like 50% range for the most part. Let's try one more and then we can knock out a FanDuel lineup. If we've been sitting in the 40 to 50% range on Sim ROI, we've made one with Daniels, with Mahomes. We don't need to make one with both of the remaining quarterbacks. Actually, what we'll do is we'll do one, and then whichever quarterback we don't use, we'll try that on FanDuel and see if we can make it work. What do you think about the Jalen Hurts spot here? Like, what do you think about Hurts?
Yeah. I mean, you know what we haven't done yet? We haven't tried building a lineup that doesn't have Barkley. If you don't have Barkley, then I think it should be like Hurts, Goddard, Devonta Smith, AJ Brown. We could try that, just see how it comes out. I'm pretty sure it's going to come out poorly, but we did say we wanted to try it.
I'm willing to try it. Yeah. I mean, that's why we do this, right? We're not submitting these lineups and leaving them until Sunday. So yeah, let's try it. How do you want to do it?
Yeah, full Eagles passing game. So we got
Eagles.
Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert.
Sure. Let's try it.
And then running back, just by default, is going to be James Cook and Austin Eckler.
Right. Not getting to Barkley is contrarian enough. And then just throw Eagles D in there or something. Or you want to go Bills? You want to go?
Yeah, let's go Bills defense just because of how high owned Mahomes is.
Okay. 5,600 remaining. I think Terry McLaurin. Can we get McLaurin and then still a decent option? I think we probably can.
Just based on what projections are, I think we want Kelsey in the lineup at flex, which we can't do if we have McLaurin.
Yes, you're right. That's a good call. Very good call. We got to maximize this in every way we can.
For reference, guys, we've got Travis Kelsey projected for 18.7 fantasy points. McLaurin's the highest projected wide receiver we have this week at 15. And Kelsey's cheaper than McLaurin by $700.
So let's go. You could go like De'Ami Brown or something. I don't think it's gonna look great, but we can try it. You can go Hollywood Brown. It's one of those two.
Yeah, we might actually we do already have two pass catchers from the Eagles, maybe taking Goddard out and just going Kelsey at tight end.
I think that's what we should do. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't need to leave out Barkley and leave $1,000 in salary.
All right, so go Kelsey, and then, damn, I wanted to see if we could plug Terry McLaurin in there, but that's not going to work. It's not going to give us what we need. We could go Shakir. Well, let's see. What if we go Shakir? 4,100.
What if we put De'Ami Brown in at 4,400 at wide receiver?
Then that gives us 5,400 at flex.
And who projects the best at 5,400, Jordan?
Nobody good. Yeah, that doesn't work.
Let's see then. Is there anybody at wide receiver who's well, how about instead of change Shakir to Terry McLaurin?
We didn't have Shakir. I have an idea. Hold on. I have an idea. Do this. Take out Devonta Smith and then put Goddard at flex. If you take him out and put Goddard at flex, what do we have left? There you go,
all right.
Greg.
All right. It's still now this is all this to have a lineup that's gonna come out like shit, but
100%. It's gonna be
the old college go.
But this is kind of what you could make it look like in the event that you did it. Yeah, minus 37%. All right, well, there's that. We tried.
There's just nothing we can do.
I don't think so. Barkley's projected for so much more than everybody else. It just seems so impractical that we could get there. All right, let's go over to FanDuel and make this happen. By the way, shout out to our boy Jake DeWitt earlier in chat. I don't know if you saw this comment, but it made me laugh. He said it would be way too hard for me to focus on reading a book when I'm constantly placing plus EV bets with Portfolio EV. Yeah, when you got your phone and the notifications keep popping up, that'll do it to you. But I mean, I'll tell you what. Are there still people out there who haven't tried the free week, Greg? Because we switched it last week. If you haven't tried Portfolio EV, you hear us talking about it. One of my favorite things recently has been like I mention it and I mention my success or your success or Nathan's success doing the $100 bankroll challenge. And then people pop in the chat just straight unsolicited, like, yeah, it's been awesome for me. And I'm placing 100 bets a day and it takes no time. And I do it from my phone. Like that's me. I do everything from my phone. The DMs that I get constantly. I got one the other day that goes, was it John Ryan? He goes, Greg, he's like, listen, man, I want to thank you for helping me get set up with Portfolio EV. It started off a little rough. I was down like 19% on the month, and now I've doubled my bankroll. So like You just stick with it. You place the bets. You follow the bets. Do what you're supposed to do. Super simple, virtually no learning curve. Trust the tools, and you're going to be well on your way to making money with this tool. And right now, the entirety of your first week is 100% free. We've got basketball, football. You've got hockey, college sports. Like, it's just, I can't say enough about it. And, you and I were talking about this the other day, but WNBA, I don't watch it. I've tried to watch it. I'm not one of those like WNBA haters that people just live their whole life to hate on the WNBA for no reason. But I've tried to watch it. It was thoroughly unenjoyable. But I had big profits betting it this year because of our tools. And yeah, that's about all there is to it, man. If you're in the DFS space, if you're looking to make money, if you're looking to buoy DFS losses on bad weeks or bad runs, is there any better way to do it than Portfolio EV right now?
I don't think so. And also, we've got tutorials that are up on the page. A lot of people ask how to use it if they're new to it. You guys will see right there. There's the tutorial videos that I know Lofty worked on. So you can click on those. If you sign up, 7-day free trial, check out some of those and you'll be on your way.
Yeah, man. Totally free. Claim it. Claim it while it's there. First week, 100% free. Just do these few things if you're going to do it. Make sure that you get on as many sports books as possible. And if you're smart, you'll do it through the link join with our partners below, because every time you sign up and follow those steps, you're going to get a free month of core $100 value Stokastic tools, sims, and all that, single lineup sim for any sport you want. So do that. Don't make the mistake of signing up just on your own. If you're going to take the free week of Portfolio EV, get some free months of Stokastic core as well. Just follow those steps. Just go back into this video even afterwards and just follow all those links and you'll get there. But get on as many books as possible. And even if you're in a state with only one book, we've seen people with big profits doing that. Make as many bets as possible. It doesn't take long. And turn on notifications. Turn your notifications on so you're getting those betting opportunities all the time and you're not forgetting to place bets. If you do those three things, you're going to make money. It's that simple. All right. So FanDuel, do we want to go Josh Allen? What do you want to do here? How's the salary structure looking to you compared to DraftKings?
Yeah, so over on FanDuel, let me look at our ownership projections for FanDuel as well. Well, here's where we should start. Let's put Barkley in to begin.
All right, go for it.
Let's put Barkley in. Barkley's ownership on FanDuel, I'll let you guess. Do you think it's higher or lower than his DraftKings ownership?
Higher.
He is 98.4% owned over on FanDuel. So he comes in, what is that, 0.2% higher than what our DraftKings ownership projection is. So super, super highly owned on both sites. But Barkley, yeah, definitely somebody who's going to be hard to get away from. At quarterback, we got Josh Allen at 8,700. Jaden Daniels is 8,300. We've also got Jalen Hurts at 8K. And then you've got Patrick Mahomes is 7,700. So Mahomes is actually the cheapest quarterback on FanDuel too.
Doesn't project all that poorly either. We want to go Allen or Mahomes?
Let's go Mahomes.
Okay. And I think we got to plug Kelsey in here. 6,800. You just got to do it.
Yeah, we go Kelsey at 6,800. We could go Worthy at 6,500. Let's see. Anybody, who are the other pass catchers? We got Pacheco is down to 5,500 on FanDuel. That also makes him 20% owned, so he's somewhat popular. But Pacheco, 5,500. You're really just hoping for a touchdown. I think Pacheco and Hunt both look better on FanDuel because they're so cheap over there. If they score a touchdown, they're pretty live to be in the winning lineup. That's kind of all they need. Hopkins is 5,600. But yeah, let's see. What's Hollywood Brown?
We could try Pacheco here. He's 5,500. Okay.
So let's go Pacheco.
And then I think the move here is to go one more chief.
Okay. Would you rather go Hollywood Brown at 5,800 or Xavier Worthy at 6,500? Worthy's about double the ownership.
Want to try it with Brown?
Okay. Yeah. Brown 23% owned compared to Worthy being 48% owned.
If you plug Chiefs defense in, Jordan, just so I can see something here. if you plug Chiefs D in, we got 6,700 remaining. That's AJ Brown's pretty expensive. McLaurin, Devonta Smith is 7,300. Naturally, like I just keep looking at Khalil Shakir in a spot like this.
Yeah, you plug in Shakir at 6,400. Keon Coleman's 4,900 also, though. I don't hate Coleman at 4,900.
Me neither. I don't know if we need it. Like just try Shakir here and see. We have about 7,000 remaining.
Yeah.
So what do you think? If you were to play one of the high end players at receiver, we're still going to have some good options at the flex. Like you could play AJ Brown and still have Eckler, Ertz, De'Ami Brown, Kincaid. Like there's still a lot there if we wanted to do that.
All right, go to AJ Brown, Jordan, and then let's see whoever projects best at the flex. Cool. That works for me.
Okay.
Uses most of the salary as well.
Let her rip. %8.
Positive. Not great, though.
So what do you think we did here?
I think if we took, well, Pacheco's viable on FanDuel. He still does project pretty poorly for us. I bet if we swapped Pacheco out for
James
Cook, and then took out AJ Brown.
Yep.
And went with somebody cheaper, it would probably come out better.
What if we, Jordan, try this. So Hollywood Brown, Khalil Shakir, and try Xavier Worthy. And then De'Ami Brown at flex. So what is that 2v2? That would be AJ Brown and Pacheco, or Cook and Worthy for AJ Brown and Pacheco. All right, a little bit better, Greg. A little better.
Yeah, maybe Mahomes' ownership is just too high at a quarterback, and maybe we'd have to go to, Jaden Daniels or to Josh Allen instead for it to come out better, but not terrible either.
No, it's not terrible at all. I kind of liked it, but the Sims don't love it. That's all right. All right. Well, I mean, I think we have a pretty good idea of we're on the right track. You pretty much need Barkley to get quality lineups right now. Any other discoveries throughout this process today? It's the first time you and I have done a 2-game slate all season.
Makes it a lot harder to build lineups with high sim ROIs with the limited options.
Yeah, it does. Do you have any reservations when it comes to like 4-man stacks? That's how we can wrap this up. Probably a question other people will ask. Like, are you on board with that? I'm not saying just spamming all 4-man stacks, but just going full onslaught in some of these lineups.
No, I don't have any issue with that at all. I think that's a very reasonable way to create upside on a 2-game slate, and it could also be unavoidable in a lot of circumstances.
I think so too. Yeah. So mess around with those if you're using the single lineup sim. See if the QB +4 is actually going to sim out better than some of these other spots. Because Greg and I played it kind of close to the vest with some of these. Like I just did one right now. I swapped out De'Ami Brown for Isaiah Pacheco in that lineup that we just did. So it's Mahomes +4, and that got me a 40% simmed ROI. So maybe there's something to it.
Yeah, just kind of capped in terms of those, super upper bound lineups that will build sometimes on Wednesdays.
Well, you and I are going to do this again on Friday, which will be nice because we'll get to see what type of lineups, especially once we have updated projections, what type of lineups are really going to look good. So make sure to join us for that. Shout out to K Sneed again for that single bullet Millie, repping the Stokastic avatar, checking out the shows. And thank you for watching the Sim Show and telling us that it helped you. We'll see you guys back here Friday. Anything else before we bounce?
No, that's pretty much it for me here. If you guys haven't done it, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you are watching this on a Wednesday, big playback show tonight. We're going to be in what they call the feature portion of their site. So just doing some other fun stuff. Going to be giving away a bunch of NBA League Pass subscriptions. There'll be some tweets out for that. And then also a little bit of an extended show. After Josh and I do our show, we're also going to have Eric and Eitan come on to talk about some of the bets they're liking for the slate. So check out the show tonight.
Hell yeah, man. All right. Hey, appreciate you guys. I know it's a 2-game slate. We went a little long, but we're trying to give you as much variations on these lineups as possible. Shout out to Jordan, and we'll catch you guys back here for the next one. Peace.